All right, we now move over to the college football landscape where we looks like we've definitely improved over last week's lackluster slate that saw me run down to Myrtle Beach for a day. So now what we have is on noon at ESPN. We got number 8 Arkansas. We got number 2 Georgia. Should be a good one in the SEC. Then we got at 2:30 over on NBC. We've got the Cincinnati Bearcats, and that's going to be their last Power Five challenge. They'll get the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And then it's Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban getting back together in Tuscaloosa with number 12 Ole Miss and number 1 Alabama at 3:30 on CBS. You know the music. I won't even do it this time. Also got a ranked action in the Big 12 on ESPN2 at 7 with Baylor and Oklahoma, and a whole lot more. There's some other above average action.
Whoa, you gotta say Oklahoma State. You gotta say Oklahoma
Oh,
State.
excuse me, Baylor and Oklahoma State. You're right. Yeah. So with that in mind, Drink, what are you most looking forward to on Saturday?
Woo! Yeah, this weekend, hey, this Saturday action gonna have your boy out here snapping into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah. So I'm listen. Of course, the two SEC games. Number 8 Arkansas going visiting number 2 Georgia. Oh man, that's gonna be a barn burn. I really hate that it's a noon game, but then I say, you know what? You know, I mean, I would rather. We talk about this all the time. The scheduling that go into this, and we just wonder, like, in what world do more people want to see Indiana going to Penn State at 7:30 over Arkansas going to Georgia? Like, with both of those teams playing the way they playing, in what world? But we ain't the contract guys. We ain't privy to how that works. So we just stay with what they tell us. So with that being noon on ESPN I think is getting a pretty good one for noon. And listen, Vegas say 18 points on Georgia. After all we just seen out of Arkansas to this point, Vegas said 18 points. Everybody, you this. For Ole Miss and Alabama, it's 14 and a half Alabama.
Yeah.
Vegas saying Georgia, they giving Georgia 18 points over Arkansas.
You think that has anything to do with? I think Ole Miss they gave Bama maybe the best shot anyone did last year, right? Fairly early in the season.
They threw up 48 points on them. Hey, 48 points. You know what I'm saying? You tell most people, hey, they scored 48 points on Alabama. Well, Alabama lost. No, actually they won. They had a historic offense that just kept them in the game. Mm-hmm. But with that said, I mean, still though, this is a top 10 matchup. That's a top 10 matchup. Alabama and Ole Miss is a top 12 matchup. So you think
right.
two teams in the top 10 in the same conference, opposite divisions, you think it'll be a little tighter than that. Like 14 and a half, I can buy that. I could buy that for an SEC ranked matchup. 18, I'm like, hey, we working with, 3 possessions. Like, woo. Now, with that said, I'm hearing that JT Daniels might be questionable for the game, which means Stetson Benson gonna come in. Let me tell you something. If that dude comes in and Georgia still covers, I'm telling you, now I'm gonna start seeing what people saying, because a lot of people saying Arkansas might be a little fool's gold because they played Texas. That was a good win. I ain't taking that from them, but that Texas A&M win. The only reason I give them credit because it was a neutral site game, and it was in Texas, so that thing was rocking. But that quarterback Texas A&M roll out. Listen, the dude Georgia gonna roll out. Whoever they roll out is gonna be better than the guy Texas A&M rolled out. I'm telling you that now. And woo! That quarterback, they saying, hey, Arkansas might be on their 3rd string quarterback too. And if that's true, Georgia ain't the team you want to roll in on your 3rd string quarterback. I'm just saying. You ain't trying to play that defense on your 3rd string quarterback. Because most teams ain't even trying to play that defense with their 1st string quarterback. Let's know 3rd string. That defense is serious. So, I think Georgia covers. I really do. I think Georgia covers. I think they show us a lot of the holes that we haven't seen with Arkansas up to this point. I think they forced the issue on that, and I think they show that. Then the second top 10 matchup, we got number 7 Cincinnati. They're a 2-point favorite over number 9 Notre Dame. Group of 5. This is what I'm gonna say. For you Group of 5 teams, y'all better be the biggest Cincinnati pep rally cheerleaders ever. Every Group of 5 team should have on a Bearcat sweater when this game is on, and they should have the pom-poms raving, and they should be like, Ritter, do it, Ritter, you can do it, pal, you can do it, Lou Fickle. Because I'm telling you right now, Cincinnati win this game, they're going to be, this year, they're going to be in a very good position for a playoff spot. This year, with so much uncertainty outside of Alabama and Georgia, they will be in position for a playoff spot, right? Notre Dame, we might go and pencil Notre Dame in if they mess around and win this game. Cause like I understand that we don't like the way they winning and they don't look like Notre Dame per se, but they're winning, and they're winning. They're beating quality opponents. I mean, I'm not talking about the Florida State stuff, but you know,
cheap shot.
Sorry, George, but the winner of this game, I think, is really in the driver's seat to catch one of those playoff spots. And I think this is a really big game. This is probably one of the most important games this weekend because Georgia could lose to Arkansas and still make the playoffs. Alabama could lose to Ole Miss and possibly still make the playoffs. But the loser of this game might I don't know if Notre Dame can make it if they lose to Cincinnati. And I don't know if Cincinnati can make it if they lose to Notre Dame. So this is probably the most important game of the weekend is Cincinnati versus Notre Dame. So I'm very interested in that. And I'll take Cincinnati. I like the 2 points for Cincinnati. I just think I believe in their quarterback more than I believe in Jack Cohn. No, hold on. Yeah, Jack Cohn. Yeah, I believe in Jack Cohn down there in Notre Dame. I think the kid Ritter is doing a little bit more. And, you know, I like Lou Fickle more than I like Brian Kelly there. So I leave that at that. Then we got number 12 Ole Miss going in, coming down to Tuscaloosa, getting some of that spice over there in Brian Denny. Coming with number 1 Alabama, 14.5 spread on that. And like you said, last year Ole Miss was the closest team to Alabama. I know people want to say Florida. Yeah, Florida. Listen, Alabama was in prevent defense for the second half of that game. Like, yes, Florida scored some points. Yes, Florida. Yes, they wasn't even like putting no pressure on Trask back there. So, yes, Ole Miss played Alabama about the best of any team last year, in my opinion. But 2 things last year. The element of surprise and Ole Miss was at home. You don't get neither one of those this time around. This is why I think it's a 14.5 spread. Because now you're coming to Tuscaloosa and now Nick know what you got over there. He know what you bringing. So now you can prepare for that. And I'm willing to bet Nick was preparing for Ole Miss for the last 2 weeks because he knew Ole Miss had a bye week last week, so they was gonna be able to rest and do their thing. I'm fairly confident. Last week when they was playing Southern Miss, they was implementing things for Ole Miss, right? So I think Alabama will be more prepared this year. I don't think it's gonna be whoever scored the last score or whatever it was last year. And then the Big 12 showdown. Baylor and Oklahoma State. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't watched Baylor play not one time this year. And I might have watched a quarter of Oklahoma State. Yeah. So, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. That tells you something right there. Who ESPN2? Yeah. All right. So, I guess it's better than ESPN Plus. Either way, they got 3.5 for Oklahoma State. And I guess I'm going to agree with that. So that's that. But I don't really got anything for this game. These teams have done nothing impressive to me this year. And then we got Indiana going to Penn State. Whoop the effing do. Penn State 12.5, 7:30. This game. Listen, I got why everybody's so hyped with Indiana because, they played Cincinnati, and then all of a sudden Cincinnati smoked them in the 4th quarter, and then last year they looked like they was promising and this, that, and the third. Penn State better win this game by 21 or more points. Or I don't want to hear nothing else about how elite they are. This game better be a 21-point or greater margin of defeat. Because if you don't go out here and smoke Indiana at home, I want to know why they so elite. I really want to know why Penn State's supposed to be so elite. You barely got cracked. That crap you pulled with Auburn, and we just seen Auburn struggle with some Division 5 team over the weekend, right? And they had to bench Bo Nix and bring in the Finley, the guy that couldn't even hack it at LSU, and he came down to Auburn. So that just tells me Auburn is a real S show out here. It's a real clown show. And you only beat them by 8. And then you barely beat Wisconsin. So I don't want to hear all this, oh, they elite. Oh, you put them up there with Alabama and Georgia. Yeah, all right. Yeah, sure. So that better be 21 points. And then, Michigan on Big Fox Noon. So, Jay, we was just talking about this. You know this is the third time Wisconsin going to be on Big Noon? They getting a lot of airtime, ain't it? They getting a lot of promo out here on these streets, ain't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
The Badgers get I don't know why, but they are. I think Jim Harbaugh, I think they take care of that game. I really do. Listen, Vegas got 2 points on Wisconsin, which kind of got me like, oh. But I don't know. I think Vegas is out here they out here with the, as Nick Saban called it, the rat poison. I think Michigan going to take care of this one. I'm going to take Michigan in that one. And then number 3, Oregon, 8-point favorite over Stanford. That's your 3:30 ABC game. For those that will be watching that game, it must be Pac-12 fans, because how would you watch that game over Ole Miss and Alabama? I don't know. But with that said, I think Oregon take care of business there. I haven't seen anything out of Stanford that makes me believe that they're going to really put a scare in Oregon. Even with an unhealthy team, Oregon probably going to bag them up. Do you want paper or plastic? I think Oregon take care of business in that game. So, yeah, man, that's my preview of Week 5 in college football.
Yeah, the SEC games are the headliners for me. I think for every team in there, a loss isn't devastating, because you can you'd have a somewhat of a chance to, run the table up to the SEC championship game, and you'd have a shot. That's just the nature of playing in the SEC. Although, especially for the loser of Alabama and Ole Miss, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a little bit tougher, because you play on the same side of the conference. So Alabama wins, Ole Miss loses the tiebreaker. So Alabama would have to lose 2 games. So that's going to be somewhat difficult, but not out of the question. So those are clearly the headliners game. But I really like Cincinnati and Notre Dame. Really looking forward to that one. It's like I said, it's Cincinnati's last chance against a Power 5 team. We saw what they did against Indiana. They got off to a really slow start in that one, but they were able to overcome it, down the line. And there's a couple of lines that really stand out to me, and this is one of them. They're giving Cincy 2 points on the road, and I think that says a lot. That is a great deal of respect for Cincinnati, and maybe it's also like, I don't know about Notre Dame. They still got the, I hate picking on them, but they still got the Florida State tape just rolling around in their head. But I will say, look, Notre Dame beat Wisconsin by 4 touchdowns. They just played the fourth quarter of their lives last week. But that line really stood out to me. And the other line was Wisconsin and Michigan. Wisconsin gets their doors blown off last week, and they're the favorites against Michigan. I'm gonna tell you, yeah, the Big Noon stuff. If Wisconsin comes out here and gets embarrassed, they have to be banned from Big Noon for the rest of the season. You just can't allow this. You can't allow this continuation of just, putting a team up there and just go back to the default stuff, Fox. Just flip-flop between Ohio State and Oklahoma and let it be that. For Michigan, on the other hand, listen, if Michigan don't win this game, I know he's not getting fired, but we know that, because look, Michigan is doing some stuff this year. I really like they're running the football with purpose. That seems to be their identity right now. But if you come out here and lose to a team that is just they didn't look like they belonged on the field in the fourth quarter last week. Their one win is against Eastern Michigan. Now you're playing the whole state of Michigan. So please, Jim Harbaugh, and you make sure you got your khaki pants cinched up tight this week, and get a win against a team, against a program that kind of sort of matters. I'm not sure we're gonna think any differently about Michigan if they win, because like, well, maybe Wisconsin is really bad. Come on, Paul Chris, let's tighten up a little bit. But if you lose this game, it's gonna be the same old Jim Harbaugh hate mail fan club with Paul Feinbaum probably leading it. You know, the same old, same old. So let's at least let's postpone that, please. I got to be honest with you. Baylor, Oklahoma State. That's probably why I didn't even read it right. I just forget the state. I'm over here thinking it's Spencer Rattler playing Baylor. I don't. God, I don't find that game interesting at all for some reason. So I'm not even going to worry about that one. I think in addition to Indiana, Penn State, there's another sneaky one in the Big Ten on prime time. FS1's got Iowa and Maryland. Maryland, I don't think they've played anybody particularly good, but they are 4-0. We know how good.
That's tonight, right?
It is tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
That is tonight. So that's in 30 minutes. So if we get out of here, we might be able to catch it real quick and see if Maryland is any good. But we know Iowa's done some things so far this season, or at least we think, because as it turns out, it doesn't appear Iowa State's very good. But look, if there's nothing else, Iowa's got a great defense. And as of this time, you got a two-team race right now for the Big Ten. You got Iowa on the west side, Penn State on the east side. And look, some of the usual suspects, you know, they're not really in the conversation right now, especially on this program. Ohio State getting Rutgers. Hopefully they get healthy against them. I think who's Oklahoma playing? I think Oklahoma's got Kansas State. We've seen them trip up against Kansas State before. And Oklahoma's been pretty sketchy so far. They haven't really looked great in, I don't think, any of their games. And then you got, Clemson has been relegated to the ACC network and the complete back of the line in the top 25. You got old Feinbaum talking about, it's over for Dabo. The dynasty's over. So not that means anything, but they have not looked particularly good so far. Barely beat Georgia Tech, and then they lost their second game last week against NC State. So we'll see if they can get back on track, but I'm not that hopeful.